What I'm going to show you today is Google Forms, a really cool feature for teachers. So the first way to get into it is by clicking on your 9 little Google dots, scrolling until you find Forms and clicking on that. That's going to bring up this option and it's going to give you some templates to use, but we're going to start from scratch today so I can show you some different things. So we're going to look for that colored plus sign that pops up next to blank, and that's going to bring up a blank form for us. Once that loads, the first thing I want to do is come up with a title for my form. So I'm going to make a math homework today. And I'm going to actually click right here where it says Untitled Form and try to get rid of that. And I'm going to make Homework 5Q3 because we're in quarter 3 right now. If I click up here in the corner where it says Untitled Form, that's going to move my title right up there. For form description, I'm simply going to put Answer All Questions. Okay? Right here, it's giving me my first question already. So I can click on that and put in the question I want. I want to have students find the constant of proportionality for this table. So that's what we've been talking about in class. Now for this, I'm going to need a picture to go with it because they need the table. So if I click on the little mountain thing right here, it's going to bring me in my folders and I can find something on my drive or upload it. So I'm going to upload it because I have some snips saved of some tables that we've used previously. So I'm just going to locate my snips that I have already. And I'm going to find one that's proportional to start with. Right here. So we'll insert that. That brings up my table right there. Now I'm going to give them some choices because I want this to be a multiple choice question. So I'm going to say that the constant is 5, which it actually is. Then I'm going to say, for my second choice, if I click down here, I'm going to say my constant is 1. Then I'm going to give them the choice of 15. I'm only going to give them 3 choices, okay? But I'm going to make this question required. So if I click down here on the little slider, it'll become a required question for them. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to add another question because I'd like to have 2 that they have to find the constant of. So I'm going to click this little plus sign on the right-hand side, which is going to allow me to add another question. And I'm simply going to have the same question. What is the constant of proportionality for this table? I love Google Forms because it helps me with my spelling too. So when I'm typing really quick and I make spelling errors, I can go back and fix them pretty quickly, the same way you would in Google Docs or anything like that. Again, I have to insert a table, so I'm going to click that little mountain picture again. I'm going to upload it. Now when I click Browse this time, it should take me right back to the folder I was in. So I can scroll through and I can find my table, and I already labeled it not proportional so that I would remember, and I wouldn't have to worry about looking each time. So once I get that table in there, I'm going to make this a short answer response question because I know they're going to have to tell me that it's not proportional. Okay, and I want to make this question required too. Now this is a prioritized class, so assignments are a lot shorter. So I'm going to click a plus sign. I'm going to add one more question. And the question is going to be, why did you select your answer for the question above? This is where they should put in that because there's no constant proportionality. So this is going to be a short answer question. So I need to go over here. It already is recognizing that I want something. But I'm going to switch it to short answer because I don't want a lot there. And I'm going to make this one required. Oops. Click the little slider again. Now here's the thing that's really cool about Google Forms. I can turn it into self-grading. So I'm going to go up here to the little gears. I want to make sure under general that I collect email addresses because I didn't put a spot for them to put their name on it, but it'll collect their email addresses because we're using our district account. I want to restrict it, so I want to leave that checked. The only people in our system can use it. I don't want to allow them to edit after submit, and I don't want to see the summary charts. If I go over to quizzes next, I want to make this a quiz. That way it'll self-grade for me. So I click the little slider. I don't care if it's locked because some of them are doing it on their home devices, so it needs to be unlocked for them to access it too. I can choose to immediately release their grade after submission or later after manual review. I like to look at it first. I don't want them to see what questions they missed right away, and I certainly don't want them to see the correct answers. But I am going to leave the point values there so they can see that. So I'm going to make sure that I click Save so that all my settings stay. Now, the only other thing that I have to do is make the answer key. So if I go back to my form and I click on my question, I go down here, right below the question, it says answer key. I can decide how many points I want the question to be. I'm going to make this one a one point question because it's multiple choice. And I just have to click on which answer is the correct answer. It turns it green. I click Done. If I go to my next question down, it's short answer. So I have to try and think of what are they going to give me for answers to do it. So when I click there, I'm going to click on my answer key again. This is going to be a 1 point question. And possible answers could be there is no constant. Some of them might say that it's 0, but I don't want that. So I'm going to leave that off of there. Some might say none, and I'm okay with that. But when they do none, they might go with a capital N. So I want to make sure to include both of those choices. And I just click Done to save it. Now, the big thing that we talk about in class is why did they select it? Why is it not proportional? There is no constant of proportionality. So I'm going to click my answer key again. This one's going to be worth 2 points. You have to put in a little time and thought to this. Add correct answers. There is no constant of proportionality. Now, the other thing that I let them do in class is I do let them abbreviate that. So there is no COP, but they might do it without the periods in there. And I'm okay with that. So I'm going to put that in as a choice too. Now, the nice thing is I can always go back and edit. So if it gives them a point loss, I can add that point back in later. Once I click Done, I can either send this to my students or I can save it to my drive. I like to save them to my drive so I know exactly where they are. So I'm going to click on the little folder right over here, and I can decide which folder I want to put it in. And I'm going to put it in my remote learning folder so that I know where it is when I go looking for it. Then I'm just going to put Move there and Move. And that'll save it there. That's how you turn a Google form into a grading Google form from scratch.